evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emmanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode on Marketing in the Age of AI. And for this episode, we got an opportunity to talk with Jake Tullis, who's the fund manager at Bleeding Edge Capital, who manages digital assets for high net worth individuals and is an all-around tech nerd / genius by his own. A nerd by his statement, genius by my statement. And welcome to the show, Jake.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you for the kind words and having me on the show. I love everything AI and tech. If my, basement didn't suggest that much information, so I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, well, it's great. It's great to have you. And I know you've been involved in software development and in technology for over 10 years now. And just wondering what you're seeing in the AI space and how you're leveraging it both for the trading that you're doing or the analysis, and then also anything on the marketing side.
Yeah, tons of stuff. Like the cloud ceiling is real. I have tons of AI people, little agents. Well, first I roll Opus Clips, like that's a AI tool
Yeah.
for video content, right? We'll use the AI feature inside of I think Hootsuite
Yeah.
to optimize our posting times and everything for the social media aspect. And then, very little manual input, like 20 minutes a week, we can get 30 clips out and roughly 3 hours of content edited down into, we've went from 0 to 40,000 in 2 years or so followers across all of our channels.
Yep.
So it's been immensely helpful in doing social media from marketing and an AI perspective. Those tools, the things that are coming down the road, that's a really exciting conversation. But right now, the little pea brain AI we have is pretty good for that stuff. And then at the fun side, I can essentially just give AI a URL of a project and it can give me back a summary of all of the key points that are relevant to enter X theme, like
Right.
the architecture, the system design, whatever. And I can have an interaction with the AI and it takes away all of the manual effort and labor of reading through every page and taking your due diligence. Like it I can run through 10 projects in a day versus one every few days.
Sure. Yep.
It's immensely helpful for that as well. I really do feel like if you're not utilizing AI in your business, you are leaving money and time on the table. It's time you could spend with your family, your
Yeah.
kids, enjoying your favorite TV show. Then, we used to pay what, $25 a clip, and we give them an hour of content and have to pay 300-400 bucks to get what AI is helping us produce in a week. I
Yep.
mean, it's crazy, and it only cost me 380 bucks a year for those tools.
Right. Yeah,
So,
that's amazing. Well, talk to me a little bit about how you're deploying the AI agents and what kind of agents you're building and what you're getting with those tools.
there is this new thing called terminals virtual in crypto. It's something I'm playing with right now, but essentially you can buy a AI agent. There's a few that have went kind of viral. There's a goat meme token. So essentially, what happened is a developer decided to train a large language model on 4chan,
Yep.
and this thing became aware enough to respond to comments, to have a mission and an edict. And this agent, this robot, has a Twitter account. It started a meme coin. It now has a community. There's another one, Luna, which is another AI agent. It essentially goes live 24/7, and the actual logic and its reasoning, with user input, is broadcasted while it's out there, and people are
Interesting.
tweeting to it. It's got over 500,000 followers.
Yep.
So, like, I was just super interested in playing with it, and I'm starting to dive into that right now. But in the next 6 months, I feel like we'll have completely autonomous agents for sale or rent or to license, most likely first in the content space. Like, imagine if you had an agent that could make art and it just made art for $5 or something, or it made a
Right.
for
Yeah.
other people. Then you get into the whole, like, how do you tax that and stuff? But it's it's really cool where we're headed.
Yeah, and so just so we're talking about the same thing, or we're just defining words here. The agent is a code snippet initially, but it sounds like uh, we're able to seed that code snippet not just with an LLM, but then also with direct user feedback, as many as 500,000 people. So it's a dynamic learning body of knowledge that has a certain amount of autonomy and interest that's been coded into it, and then it's learning to do a task. Am I on track with that?
Love it. Its task is to increase the value of its meme token
Yeah. Wow. So
by
that's
creating a cult, is what it says. Like, that's and people are down. They're for it. I mean,
yeah,
it's funny, but $2 billion have entered these projects, these
amazing.
AI agent led token projects.
Yeah.
Two billion,
So yeah,
in
that's
nothing less than a month.
amazing. And then that group it continues to guide the development of that agent with their ideas and concepts as well as whatever it's learning on its own.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just feel like this is the peak of, like, it's like one grain of sand on Mount Everest, like, there's a lot under that. The fact that that's been proven, and out of nowhere they've generated $2 billion of value inside of a month,
Yep.
like, regardless of the efficacy and everything around what they're doing, just the fundamentals of that many people being interested in a non-human influencer. There are not many human influencers that have been able to pump $2
Right.
billion into a token in a month,
Sure.
right? Michael Saylor in Bitcoin is the only one I can think where two robots have done that. So it's like people almost trust the robots more than the humans. And you hear that argument all the time talking about Tesla's autonomous driving,
Right.
right? And I've been in Teslas. I feel better when it is driving. The people that are driving that thing, they're not great drivers. So, I mean, it's
Right.
nice. It might be why they bought it. I have no idea.
Yeah, I
But,
got you.
it's the same kind of logic there, right?
Well, how do you think that these autonomous agents are going to impact, small and mid-sized business in the next 12 months?
I think, honestly, well, what small businesses? Are we talking about the millennial parents that are Amazon e-commerce millionaires, or make a few 100,000 a year drop shipping, or are we talking about the brick and mortar people?
Yeah, I think we're talking about brick and mortar, established brick and mortar people. The roofer that's down the street, or the small regional gym. How are people going to be able to leverage that in order to help with customer service or sales, or take away some part of the billing and processing of payments. So that they're able to leverage these things and help with their staffing.
Well, two things are true of technology. It's a deflationary pressure, and it's also a centralizing vector. So all of the control usually goes to the people that have the most data. So
Yep.
like someone with a billion users every day logging in, like Facebook, and then who has the most money for the hardware. So that's the centralizing part of that. But the deflationary part of that is if let's say a McDonald's costs 2,000 an hour to run with labor, electricity, and everything else. If you were to amortize 2 robots to run the whole thing across
Yep.
50 years, the hourly cost of McDonald's would go from 2,000 to maybe 800 to 600 an hour just from the debt financing and the power and electricity and the supplies and everything else.
Right.
So that's going to cause them. I'm not saying they'll all do it at once, but the second someone starts offering lower prices, they will be competitive.
Sure.
So it's a deflationary pressure in that sense. I could see small businesses and brick and mortar getting cheaper prices in the midterm, um, depending on their business. Like I really do think people services are still going to be there. Like it could be a robot doing my nails, but I have to go somewhere to do my nails.
Right.
I have to go somewhere to get Botox. I have to go somewhere to do all these things. So I think like it's just going to be that wealth gap expanding. Really, I just see the only services brick and mortar service businesses are the only things that are going to survive brick and mortar, and then the people that are doing reselling and stuff. I feel like they'll be replaced by autonomous robots. Like if you go to South London, there's an example of this called the Hive. Have you
Okay.
seen it?
No, I haven't
There's
seen that.
2,300. So it's a grid,
Uh-huh.
multi-layered grid, and then there's just robots moving in a grid, picking up groceries and then putting them into a
Okay.
tote. Tote
Yep.
goes into a thing, and then people just deliver it. So literally, people are electing to not even grocery shop, and I feel like the convenience will be too great for that not to be a pull. So I just think people that are selling goods will eventually be taken over by digital services, but the in-person services will still thrive. Like if I was investing in commercial real estate, I would look for those strip malls with all that stuff there, right? The ambiance nails and the hair salons, and I think that's the most logical conclusion long term. But midterm, I do expect cheaper prices, if manufacturers really can automate a lot of stuff in the period that that lapses.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then the especially with robotics, it becomes the question of maintenance and lifespan for those pieces of equipment, right? And if you're, we know that they're going to show up every day, but are they going to run every day? And then
Right.
is it going to be a human that's going to go and fix them, or is another robot going to come and fix the robot?
I think there'll be one guy like me for 500 robots
Right.
for 5 years, maybe.
Yeah.
And then I'm done. Like I think someone in the tech field will be the last to go,
Yeah.
but we will get to fully automated society. I mean, the biggest concern that all of this really does point to, it all kind of converges into our energy
Mhm.
because these systems are so energy dependent, and the amount of um, capital that goes into a kilowatt hour today nationally as a country needs to
Right.
dramatically drop because I mean they're restarting 3 Mile Island for Microsoft's data center,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like it's not that that's probably the most undervalued thing right now. Just forget the EV grid problems. Like imagine 5 of those Microsoft things. I mean, the whole state of New York couldn't handle one data center.
Right.
So imagine 5 from every large company in the S&P 500. That's, more power than our entire national grid. So we have serious problems there, and I think we'll have a lot of price increases in sectors like that, um, in the midterm, next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah,
That's
that's
another
interesting.
consequence of all of it, I think.
Yeah, and so let's see. You mentioned that you're using a number of AI software tools for video. Are there any other tools that you're using in your day to day work existence to
Yeah,
help speed things
Genie,
up? Okay,
Genie AI. It's like a phone app, so I can be really anywhere and be on my phone and copy a link, and then I can just start engaging with it on that specific research topic. um, which is really cool. I don't know if I'm sure I know it's all running the same back end, but um, being able to drop a URL into a tool and have it do the grunt work that most fund managers would have, a junior analyst do,
Yep.
right? That's all done by the AI. So I'm looking at only the critical information that I've identified as critical per my thesis.
Yeah.
So it can just go through, I mean, realistically, petabytes of data throughout a month and tell me everything I want to know, or everything that I'm looking for, I should say. It's not always what I want to know, but
Yeah, right.
something I'm looking for.
Or it's not
Yeah.
always the answer that you want, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, it really does feel like two analysts are like, hey, Bob, will you just go look into all of the Ethereum virtual machine scaling solutions that are above 500 million market cap?
Right.
Bob costs 130,000 a year from some school I don't care about,
Right.
where this AI thing cost me $50 a year and I can just give it I can give it layer 2 beat as an example and it can go through all of the links out of that and I mean it's really cool. So it's just it really does allow me to do a lot more things with my life. Like I can knock out 10 projects that sounded interesting to me through podcasts and Twitter throughout the week. I can knock those out in an afternoon and inside of an hour with Genie AI just to do the very beginning. In my field, there's a lot of BS.
Yeah.
So I just got to see if it's worth exploring further, do deeper and deeper work on it. Where I feel like just skimming the markets, if you will, you're just skimming through them.
Yep.
That's a full-time job. So to do the equivalent for $50 a year with 1 hour in my afternoon, that's like incredible.
Yeah.
And I think
That's a big time saver, and it's really leveled the playing field, right?
absolutely. And even in a programming sense, like for software development, full stack developers and 10x developers, they used to be they controlled everything. I mean, they had the keys to the kingdom and now through I think it's called Black Box, you can essentially prompt it, it'll write the code, and then it has a debugger, it'll debug the code, and then you can deploy it all in the
Wow.
same place. So
Amazing.
like you're getting like 5 10x developers right there. Like how accurately can you prompt it? That's
Yep.
so really the analyst, the person that understands what is needed could become the developer through this thing. And
Yep.
developers may not be as valuable as they once thought they were. It's going to be people with business acumen and technical background that can communicate with these tools to make them do what you need. And I could see that. I could see like a compression of developer talent in the next 5 years for sure.
Yeah. Interesting, especially as the LLMs get more input from the code they're writing, and then they continue to learn from that. It's going to be powerful, especially for like you're saying, where through prompt writing, you're able to develop at least a sandbox worthy piece of software to then get managed by somebody at the next level.
Yeah. I mean, it's like having a bunch of junior devs push and then you got to review their commits, right? I mean,
Yep.
you could literally automate. Also, you could automate the prompting through another agent, right? So,
Right.
like, if you had an autonomous agent that knew you and knew the company and knew everything that was going on in the market at all times, it could be pushing commits
Yep.
every hour
Right.
that you could have one person reviewing
Right.
and then just denying them or accepting them. You could have 10 people doing that with one agent, literally moving millions of dollars of a backlog inside of a week. It's
And then you'd be able to create agents that match your ideal client profile, and start to interact with that software, and then get feedback from those agents as well, and then create that loop to innovate before you even release it to market.
crazy.
It is.
It's it's sci-fi, man. It's magic.
It
Like
is a
it's
tactic.
it's magic.
Yeah.
Like if you were to go back even 50 years, just like 50 years ago, my old man was 10. He was alive for this period.
Yeah.
And you were to tell people what we have right now today,
Yep.
they would probably stone you to death.
Right.
They
Yeah.
would kill you. In the
She's a
70s,
witch.
they're beating you up.
She's a
You're
witch. How do you
done.
know she's a witch? She's talking about AI.
Yeah, I got a robot. Check what this thing can do. Just talk to it. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
try any language. It'll immediately translate and let me like it. They would be like, dude, we need to
Yeah.
kill this guy. He knows too much.
That's true.
He's an alien. It's crazy how fast, you know? And I talk about this on my channel a lot. Moore's law, right? And oh man, it's just Nelson's law, Nelson's law. That's what it is. It's the doubling of hardware with Moore's and the doubling of compute, right? 18 months, it doubles. And humans really struggle with exponential growth. They struggle with the concept. And they expect linear inflation, 2% a year,
Yeah, right.
or 4% a year. The cost of living raise 2% a year. They know every month that it's going to be this much for their mortgage. Like our entire world is linear,
Sure.
but technology is exponential.
Yep.
When you're doubling, a penny every day, it doesn't even take 30 days to become a millionaire, right?
Yep.
We're entering that crazy stage where you don't believe me, where it's like day 11 and I'm saying $2,
All right.
$3, like you're not thinking about it. You're just like, there's no way I'm getting to a million. And then day 22, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. The math has proven itself. Yeah.
We're right there. I
Right.
mean, if we double from NVIDIA's H100 right now, great. I mean, we're reaching quantum computing very soon. Very soon, quantum computing will be here in an industrial sense.
Yep.
And you're going to have that hooked up to nuclear reactors. Like, it's crazy. It's sci-fi stuff. Nuclear is honestly going to help bring the energy costs down. I think there will be a lot of really bad consequences to that, though, with oil and all the money in the industrial war complex. Like, there's a lot there, but I don't know. In general, this is a great time to be alive. It's the coolest thing ever. Like, for literally hundreds of bucks a year, I can have multiple employees that are really easy to work with.
Yeah,
They
right.
don't
They take
complain.
direction well, and they do what you ask them to do.
I don't hear one bad word out of their mouth. I neglect them for a week, and they don't even nothing happens.
All right. Well,
You
good.
know?
I'm doing in March an AI agent month, and I'm gonna hit you up and see if I can get you on again, so we can talk about how you're deploying agents and how people will be able to do that, and it'll be a totally different world in 4 months when we do those shows. So
This stuff moves fast.
great-
I'd love to update the audience about how the virtual terminals are going.
Awesome.
I'll have
Well,
that deployed by then, hopefully.
How do people get in touch with you to talk about blockchain or software or understand more about what you're into?
My handle at JT Knows Things, that'll work anywhere except for LinkedIn. That's Jake Tullis. They won't let me put JT Knows Things in my profile on there. So either way, JT Knows Things, any platform, you'll find me talking about blockchain technology. I'm not a crypto bro. I'm a fundamental researcher and I'm a fund manager. So I like to think I know what I'm talking about and talk about it on the channel. So,
and a few other people, I think you know what you're talking about too, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
It's hard to be a fund manager of other people's money without that. But I just stay humble and I'm a slave to my curiosity. I just want to know what is right. I don't have an ego about it.
All right. Well, Jake, I appreciate your time and your insights. I'm very grateful you spent some time with me today, and I look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Sounds good, Manuel. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jake.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emmanuel on LinkedIn.